Listen, you're not gonna find anything on me, okay? Trust me.
Empty your pockets into the tray, sir, or we'll have to. Your pockets, sir?
Lady, the problem isn't in my pants.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. It's time to talk about all things X-Men. We've had an interesting week. We had one really damn good comic. We're going to talk about Hellions number 11, I believe it is. One of my, maybe, is it the best comic I read this week? It's that or Green Lantern number 2 so far. But first, we're going to talk about the Trials of Magneto and the promo art that John Romita Jr. put up. We know that he's coming over to Marvel to do some work on an important title. And here to talk with me about that is the X-Men historian, the Marvel aficionado himself. Doc, how you doing?
I'm great, man. Thank you for having me. I am looking forward to talking about this.
All right, so I'm flabbergasted that they could come up with such an original idea like the Trial of Magneto. He's never been on trial before, Doc, and certainly not even associated with John Romita Jr.
Yes, I know. It's not like X-Men 201 ever happened. Nope, definitely never happened. And he definitely didn't get put on trial, I don't know, again throughout the years. No, definitely totally original idea.
A little bit let down by that. You know, we do see John Romita Jr. on the promo art. Do you think this excludes him from being the artist on the unannounced, like, secret Jonathan Hickman project in September, since this actually starts in August?
I don't think it precludes him, but I think it does diminish the likelihood of it. You'd think that they'd save his art for the promo art for that project rather than this. I mean, there's always the possibility that he's doing both and that he already drew all of the issues for, you know, or whatever. I mean, if he is drawing
Action Comics, his last issue of Action Comics was probably 5, perhaps 6 months ago. The only other time I've seen him was in Infinite Frontier. He had that, what was it? Was it Darkseid in the body diver image?
Oh, okay.
The last DC work I've seen. So it has been quite some time. He might have it done.
And he is fast. That's the thing. John Romita Jr. has always been a fast artist. He's able to do an issue plus a month on a regular basis. So, you give him 6 months, he could have knocked out a 5-issue Trial of miniseries and, the first 3 issues of Hickman, whatever book it is, and still be ready to knock out a couple more before September.
So we shall see on John Romita Jr. I do think he is going to be rejuvenated and his work is going to pick up. I don't think he was the right artist for Superman. Before that, he did Silencer and he was fine. So getting back to Magneto, it seems like he's been minding his P's and Q's for some time, certainly since the introduction of House of X Powers 10, Dawn of X. The only time he did anything was that confrontation with the Fantastic Four. No, he wasn't even in that.
No, he was there in Fantastic Four X-Men. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was there at the end when Xavier mind wiped Reed. The only time I've seen him even slightly old Magneto was in Way of X #1. When he got all preachy and kind of on his high horse.
And that certainly wouldn't get you in trouble on Krakoa. That makes him like a demigod on Krakoa. So
yeah, exactly.
It's not going to be that. I imagine, this is what I think. This is me. I'm assuming that he kills a human that he wasn't allowed to kill during the Hellfire Gala. Perhaps Eminem, perhaps another celebrity. But I think that's going to be the big revelation. He kills a human and he'll go on trial. Perhaps to go down with Sabretooth in the depths of hell.
That was my initial thought too. Like, he's going to get pissed off and, I don't know, accidentally or without, but he will kill a human.
Perhaps
one of the humans, hopefully,
maybe,
or all of them. Yeah, maybe that's what he does. I mean, that was my initial thought. Like, as soon as I saw, okay, this is following directly up after we're going to have a bunch of celebutards on during the Hellfire Gala. Then Magneto
I don't
goes
think
on
he's killing
trial.
a celebrity. That was just me joking. I think he's going to kill a human. Perhaps
Yeah.
a delegate from another nation that was invited to the Hellfire Gala.
Yeah, I mean, or it could be, hell, maybe one of them are going undercover as a spy. But regardless, I think he does kill a human, and then he has to go on trial for it. Now, the other theory that I heard is that they're moving Arakko to Mars, and that he's going to slaughter the AIM scientists that are already on Mars.
That's a pretty wild theory. I don't see anything that supports that. But hey,
well,
perhaps somebody is in the know.
Yeah, that was one of the theories that I heard. And since Hickman did have a couple of characters that he created that were running around on Mars that are mutant-ish during his Avengers era, I can never remember. That's the brother and sister, the gold one, and
the viewers are going to know, and they're going to call us dumbasses when they write in the comments section. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I can't remember what they're called. I've seen he's used those characters a couple of times in X-Men so far. So why not?
Perhaps that's what it is. You've got Hellfire Gala coming up starting in June, a few weeks away. It's supposed to be a big deal. And you're already announcing the next big storyline. Imagine it's going to be a crossover between a few of the titles. Probably not to the level of Ten of Swords or Hellfire Gala, but it's like, where's the room to breathe? How are we supposed to get excited for anything? And then that's a Marvel-wide problem, Doc. Like,
it is.
It's like boom, 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 boom. If everything's the most important thing ever, nothing's important.
Yeah, if everything's important, nothing's important. If everything's special, nothing's special. And the fact that, once again, for like the 3,000th time, we're not even to the event that they were hyping, and they're already hyping the event afterwards. They're already doing the promo. And then they wonder why these events underperform. Well, because you forget about them. It's like, it's like people that after Halloween, when Christmas decorations go on sale at the mall, and then wonder why Thanksgiving sales don't do very well. Everybody's waiting for Black Friday then. Come on.
So where do you think this is happening? There's no way it's happening in the X-Men comic. It's not going to need to be propped up by a Trial of Magneto story arc. It's not going to. No.
This is the Leah Williams book.
This is the secret Leah Williams book.
Yes. Yeah, this is the secret Leah Williams book. Because if you looked back whenever they released that one, you could kind of see that it said probably it said the trial behind the bar. And then whenever they announced the Trial of Magneto, we were like, oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
What a waste.
Yeah.
Why would you waste a character like Magneto on Leah Williams? I have no idea.
I don't know either. No, this is the Leah Williams book for.
This is what you call, Doc. They should just call the event Dead on Arrival.
Yes. Yeah. Just DOA.
So there you go. They are rehashing yet another storyline. And this is, I don't know, the 4th or 5th trial for Magneto. Let's talk about something good, because there was actually a really good comic book this week. I absolutely loved it. We have not talked about this. Normally, we're somewhat vibing on these. I absolutely loved Hellions number 11.
Same
It's
here.
coming out the gate. We'll talk about the art. Fantastic. This is one of my favorite pages in there. You have so much cool stuff going on. Steven Segovia continues killing it on this book. I'm glad they haven't removed him like Josh Quasera on X-Force and ruined the art. This is the best team book at Marvel Comics right now. It's better than Avengers. It's better than Champions. It's better than X-Men. This is the team book. I like that they're the underdogs because they can have a little bit more fun with the characters without defining them down. And just the dynamics and everything. The only character I don't like and wish wasn't there is Empath. And that's probably necessary. There's got to be one team member you hate.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think it is easily the best team book. And it's also the best superhero team book. Because this is a book that actually feels like an X-Men team book. Like, you go back into the 80s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and pick up an X-Men team book. even during the 90s, during whenever it was wildly overbloated of a line, you pick one of them up and you would have a fun, cool, interesting story, even if some of the characters were kind of crappy. You got a really weird kind of assortment of characters that go on crazy adventures and somehow manage to persevere. That's kind of the point of superhero comics. Go on crazy adventures and find a way to win.
This is featuring my favorite villain, Arcade. I don't think he was used to his fullest, but that's besides the point because the story here is so good. I love this interaction before we get into the story where Orphan Maker saying, "It's all just a bad dream, right, Nanny?" As they're running away, and she's like, "Grow up, Peter. We're all gonna die."
Yes.
They're in this dream world that Mastermind is essentially controlling all their minds to try and keep them at bay, for devious purposes for Arcade's game.
Yes. It's kind of like this group inception thing where they're putting him into like a dream state and he's controlling it, but he's also trying to keep them separate initially, and then he lets their dreams kind of merge together because it's a little easier to control then instead of controlling the mind, 6 or 7 different simulations at once.
And Psylocke has aged like 50 years. He looks a lot older in here. And finally, John Proudstar, Scalp Hunter, finds her, and they start working things out. Good revelations. The team finally get back together, and she starts fighting back against Mastermind.
It's a great story. Like, she's the only one that can really fight him because she's the only telepath on the team. She finds a hole basically to escape, I guess you could say, back into the real world. Her avatar that was in the dream simulation goes evil at the same time.
It's one of the best images is when she leaves because she's no longer under control, and Mastermind takes over, and she looks absolutely maniacal, sick, insane.
Yep.
Yeah.
She looks like she's being experimented on by Mojo and Spiral, which is a callback to, Quanon and Betsy getting their bodies swapped at Spiral's body shop back in, post Siege Perilous. So the real Psylocke is in the real world, goes into full superhero mode, goes and busts through the door. You get this awesome superhero pose, that kind of quintessentially Psylocke, slightly cheesecakey entrance that it's the money shot every time. You need it.
Yeah, so they finally break free, and that's essentially what's happening with the team, and that's kind of the story of the team. At that point, it's all over. The big story that's going on behind the scenes, we end up learning all this information about the nature of the relationship between Arcade and Mr. Sinister, who we saw get essentially tortured last week. I got to say this before we get into that part. Bravo to Zeb Wells for using one of these graphic info sheets and not wasting my time. Because it had the Murder World header on it, I decided to read this, and you absolutely get some very important information as far as why they need Mr. Sinister. They're trying to do some cloning. Arcade assumed that his clones were going to be fully aged when he discovered them. They were babies. He was upset. He killed the person that would have fixed the problem, and now they need Mr. Sinister to come in and help him out and gestate his clones to adulthood.
Yes. This is kind of good plot and kind of funny at the same time.
Yes. The little note at the bottom, kill this loudmouth and get Sinister now. Basically following the exact recommendations that he had, but he didn't like being told that he did something wrong. Exactly.
I mean, this is a fun use of an info page. If we got more, I mean, I won't say if we got more like this, because then they just do more like this and we get bored of that too really quickly. If they used the info pages sparingly and effectively like this with regularity for whatever suits the story, great. They're fine then. But
we've seen a lot of those memos in X-Force and other ones, and I don't think they're effective there because they're really mundane and boring. Here, Arcade's personality is on the paper, and it provides some entertainment quality along with some exposition. So very well done. So let's get into the big revelations. And here it is. We've got Mr. Sinister with the odd list because he's missing some teeth. He's had some dental surgery that he didn't want, talking about the centrifuges. He can't say the word, and he's trying to get this cloning laboratory up and running so they can have fully gestated clones.
Yeah, I mean, he's building a clone farm. Who better than Sinister to make sure the clone farm is up and running? I mean, they're playing this, they kind of use Sinister for laughs in most of these books. In this case, it's the lisp from Broken Teeth. And it was kind of funny I
liked it. This is the best one that they've done.
Yeah, I think so too. It definitely beats the cape jokes.
Yes.
The busted teeth Sinister with the lisp, and guys not understanding. What's he saying? Is he talking about a centrifuge? No, I thought he said a centipede or something. No, that was kind of funny. I did get a good laugh out of this. And it makes sense, though, that Sinister would be the guy to do it. But
now, Arcade thinks he's in charge.
Exactly.
He thinks this is his scheme and he's running it and mastermind's under his control. That is not the case. We get the big revelation that essentially he's been played as soon as Mr. Sinister came on board. He took over. Mastermind is working for him, and they are using Arcade as a pawn to get this farm up and running. And Psylocke knows about it, but she ain't going to say nothing.
Because once again, we're back to that same story from, kind of falling out of fallen angels that has been hanging over this book the entire time. Quanon being kind of stuck in the pocket of Sinister because he has her daughter.
Well, he's got her digital version of her daughter.
Yeah. I mean, he has her daughter for all of intents and purposes. She can't get her back without, if Sinister doesn't let her. She's kind of stuck. And I think it's kind of shitty that he makes her remember all this, because he just kind of ignores the rest of the team.
He thinks it's funny. He likes having the control. He likes messing with people.
Yes, he does. He likes having her subservient to him to actually not just be able to mind wipe them and, tell her a different story like he does the rest of the team.
Yeah, the last scene when they're all walking back to Krakoa and they're like holding each other and they think they saved Sinister. They're like, we really whooped their asses.
Yeah, I love the way that he did a little bit of foreshadowing. You got to make sure that they think that they really kicked some ass. Oh yeah, we kicked some ass. Yeah. He literally used. So it was good writing wise. Zeb Wells, I think, is the guy in that office that is the most competent at just straight up superhero comics.
He's definitely telling the best story in X-Men. I absolutely love this comic. I should give it a 4.5 star. I'm going to give it a 4-star.
I'm giving it 4.5.
It's really entertaining. Highly recommend. Everybody should be reading this. This is a fantastic payoff. The issue is this just should have been a 3-issue story arc probably, and we probably could have got a little bit more time, but there's a fantastic revelation in here. And finally, we're starting to hear something about maybe Mr. Sinister's chimeras.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously setting up the clone farm so that it's separate from the 5 on Krakoa, but not on Krakoa, so it's separate, because he wants to do his thing. And obviously, we're going to get to Mars eventually with Sinister having his clone farm up there. But in the meantime, he's got to start somewhere. So you figure he's going to at least start cloning his own bodies, and he's going to clone probably his Hellions and maybe make tweaks on them.
So we're finally seeing somebody delve into some of those wonderful story arcs that have been left dangling from House of X Powers of 10. Really enjoyed this comic book. The news about Magneto's trial, less than satisfying so far. Maybe it'll be great, but hey, if Hellfire Gal is so badass, why are you even talking about this?
Exactly.
That's what I gotta say.
Yeah. Read Hellions, ignore the Hellfire Gala, and F Trial of Magneto.